everyone, I'm Professor Hu from the University of Johannesburg. In this video, we are going to study the theory of 5 elements. Firstly, the definition. The 5 elements includes the 5 basic systems, which are wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. It is Asian philosophical thoughts that studies the concepts, characteristics, laws of generating, controlling, insulting, and overacting. It is used to explain the occurrence, developments, changes, and interrelations of all objects in the universe. So this is the definition, but initially, where does these 5 elements come from? It's actually from the systems or the objects that's around our daily life. For example, the wood is the woods in the forest, the woods you're going to use to build a building. The fire you can use to keep warm, to prepare your food. The earth, the soil, is where you plant the grains when you plant the plants. Metal also, it's an instrument that you can cut the wood. Water, also a basic substance that we use every single day. So as you can see from here, the 5 elements, these 5 elements that are the objects that's close to our daily life. The 5 elements theory, as you can see from the others, from the right side, in Chinese I put X-I-N-G and the second tone, so it's Xing. 5 is basically means the number 5 or 5 perspective. The elements in the Chinese term is Xing. Xing means movements. So which means the theory of 5 elements, we actually refer to 5 different type of movements. What moves there is the qi. So in the previous videos, we studied the theory of actions and qi. We studied the theory of yin and yang. In this video, from the theory of 5 elements, we actually study the qi movements. Apart from yin and yang, the reason is because initially we separate the qi into 2 categories, either yin or yang. But sometimes these 2 categories just not accurate enough because they are too broad. Although they are useful, but they are too broad. We want to be more specific. Can we explain the characteristics of the substance in a more accurate way? That's why the Asian philosophers that employs the 5 elements theory, Wu Xing, the 5 approaches, the 5 movement approaches. From the theory of 5 elements, we also try to explain the relationship between human and nature. We try to explain the relationship among different organs that we're going to introduce later. In 金匮要略, 金匮要略 is the second volume of 伤寒杂病论, one of the 4 classics. It describes the patient, if the patient suffers from liver problem, they may develop into spleen problem, and in your treatments, you need to prevent the spleen. So how does from the phenomena, how do we know that the liver will affect spleen? And in clinical practice, you can see patients suffer from liver problem. For example, patients suffer from jaundice. Although jaundice is a symptom, but jaundice due to liver, and then the patient may have poor appetite, nausea, or vomiting. You can see here that's related to spleen and stomach in Chinese medicine. So as you can see here, the phenomenon is the liver problem may affect the spleen. So in your treatments, even if the patient does not have nausea or vomiting, in your treatments, you need to always pay attention to the spleen, to the stomach. You can use some treatments to prevent the development to spleen or to minimize the influence to the spleen when you treat the liver problem. So The reason is because they know the transformation of all the relationship between the liver and spleen. So that's the value of the theory of 5 elements. These 5 basic systems, the wood basically is referred to the wood or the tree. And when you see the tree, it's a kind of life, it's growing. So the wood represents growing. Fire, when you stand next to fire, you feel hot. And also when you see the fire, the flame moving upwards. So anything have the characteristics of hot or moving upwards, and then we thought fire. The earth is where things can be planted or where grains can be planted, so the nutrition comes from the earth. Water is cold, and water always moving from top to down, so everything moves downwards. You think it's water. And metal can transform and restrain. So for example, if you want to change the shape of the wood, though you can use the metal to cut the wood. So metal have the characteristic to transform and to restrain, to limit the growth. So this is basically the original thoughts of the 5 elements. And from these characteristics, we try to group them. We try to put every single thing in the universe to put into these 5 categories. This is very similar to the yin and yang theory. We try to put all things, all phenomena into 2 categories, either yin or yang. And now we want to be more accurate. We want to put the same thing into 5 categories. And then these categories, we give you a title of wood, metal, fire, water, and earth. So this table represents the nature and the human body. One of the value of the theory of 5 elements is the connection between human body and the nature through the 5 elements. We will go back to this table later, but firstly, how do we know which one belong to which elements? For example, why liver go to the woods, gallbladder go to the woods, or from nature point of view, why spring go to woods and east go to wood? So how do we know this is from the formula or an analogy? For example, in mathematics, from the formula, we know if A equal to B and B equal to C, and then we can conclude that A equal to C. So in this way, this is exactly the same way. That's how we conclude, or we categorize the different systems into different categories. For instance, if A refers to water and B, water is cold, and water is and cold is in the north, then we say water and cold and north will be categorized in water of the elements. Because this theory developed in China, and China is in the north of the planets. And then because of the geography of China, the northern part of China that's close to Russia, and it's much colder than the southern parts of China. So it's just opposite to us in South Africa. The northern part is warmer and the southern part is colder. That's why in the north it's colder and water also cold. And then in this way we categorize north into the elements of water. Similarly, fire is hot. And in the southern part of China is also hot, or the temperature, the climate is warmer. So we put south into fire. Apart from this type of formula, we also use the inference. For instance, water related to kidney, and kidney from the theory, kidney, the hair, the bones, the ears, bladder related to kidney. So all these are related to water. So that's how the formula we put in. Then we can go back to this table. For example, wood. The wood, the tree, going to start to grow in spring. So that's why the spring put in the wood. And then in spring it become windy. The wood, the plant is green color, and then put in the wood. And then woods linked to liver. The reason is because when you see the plants or the tree, when it grows to different directions. And this is the characteristic of liver. Liver also liver does not like to be stagnant or to be limited in one space. They want to have the free flow of qi and blood. So that's why we put into the category of wood. And then tendons and ligaments related to liver, that's why we put together. The emotion of liver also, it's anger, so that's also put in the wood. And the eyes related to liver, also put in the wood. So through this type of relationship, you can see we link nature and human body through the 5 elements. Also the music, do, re, mi, sol, la, linked to different elements. That's also why in Chinese medicine we have one modality that use music to treat diseases. They also can use fragrance, different type of fragrance to treat diseases, because you also can link to 5 elements. How to use music to treat diseases is, for example, if you have wood deficiency or the lack or the weakness of wood, then you can have the type of music have more dominance by do, and this can help you to support the wood. So that's one type of modality. You also can advise the patient to eat more sour fruit, because sour can tonify wood. And afterwards, after we study the relationship between 2 elements, and then you also can use other theory to support the elements if one of the elements have problems. So this is one of the most important function or value of the theory of 5 elements, link human body with nature. And also from the 5 elements, we also can link the relationship between different organs. So in human body itself, what's the relationship between the liver and heart? Why sometimes patients, they feel angry easily, they irritate easily, and in the meantime they don't sleep well, they suffer from insomnia. So then you can expand from the relationship between liver and heart, because the wood will affect the fire. Okay, so these the value of 5 elements also can help you to understand the relationship between 2 internal organs. The contents of the 5 elements theory is, firstly, you need to understand the relationship generating and controlling, and also overacting and insulting. This will be the key concepts that you need to understand. The terminology may sound slightly strange to you, because when I initially when I sent this document for language editing, the language editor actually advised confirm is the insulting of acting is correct. The reason of these 2 terminology because of the direct translation from Chinese, and I simply can't find a better words to represent these functions. So they just use this type of words, and sometimes we use this type of words to represent the phenomenon that's more close to us. As we discuss further, you will see why that's more close to our actual relationship. The difference between these 2, generating and controlling, and also the overacting and insulting, these 2 basically 2 categories. One is physiology and one is pathology. which means this one is in a healthy stage, this one is not in healthy stage. Generating and controlling is the universe relationship between two systems in the universe, which means everything in a healthy stage will have generating and controlling. No matter from human health or from the planet, so anything in the world. And afterwards, we will discuss the relationship between the mother and the child elements. But this will be also from these two relationships. The generating and controlling. Generating refers to an orderly relationship of wood, fire, earth, metal, and water, where one element promotes and benefits another. So to remember these, the theory of 5 elements, I would advise you to remember the order. The order always starts with wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. So you can use W, F, E, and water, W. Whenever you remember the function, remember the order, always start from wood, and then you will see that when we say it's orderly relationship, we refer to this order from wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. So this flow. And when we talk about controlling, you also see the same structure, but just opposites. And controlling refer to an orderly relationship of restraint and restriction between wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. Because the difference is to promote, to benefits, or to restrain or restrict. So restrict the jump one. And from the mother and son elements, it's referred to the generating order. But when wood generating fire or wood benefit fire, now we says the wood is the mother element, the fire is the son element or the child elements. Same as here, the fire generates the wood, the fire is the mother element, the earth is the son elements or the child elements. Similarly with the other elements. The phenomenon, that's why we use mother and son as an example, is because, for example, in a family, when your mother or the mother always protect the son, the mother always generate or to benefit or to assist for the son. So a very simple example is when the son is poor, then the mother may give money to the son to support the growth of the son. So that's why we use this wood and fire. Wood can generate fire, but how do you know wood can generate fire? Or why? In other words, the other question is why wood will generate fire? So these relationship you actually can see from nature. For example, when you brine, you put wood there, and then the fire becomes bigger and bigger. And then when the wood is less, the fire also smaller. So this is the relationship between wood and fire. And then fire also can generate earth. After you burn the wood, the ashes you put in the garden, and afterwards the ashes transform into earth, into soil. And metal, for example, it's unearthed from undergrounds. So originally, the Asian people, they believe that metal is from the earth, because you unearth from the ground. Similarly, the mind also underground, so the earth. In the morning, when you see the metal, on the surface of the metal, you may see some water on the surface of metal. So when people see this phenomenon, they believe that the metal can generate water, and water can generate wood. When you grow your tree, you need water. So that's these generating relationship, actually the relationship that we can see in our daily life. The controlling, the generating and controlling is one pair. You cannot, in order to have a healthy state of human health, also healthy state of the universe, we need the balance of generating and controlling. So for example, when the wood generate the fire, and then the fire will generate the earth, which means the wood will make the more fire will make more earth. But in the meantime, the wood will control the earth. The wood will control the earth. So you see now, these three elements actually become like a group. They can generate, they can try to support each other. In the meantime, they control each other. Okay, so if you think this, the mother, the son, or this is the grandchild, so the grandfather will control the grandchild, and then that become units. Similarly, the fire, the earth, and metal, the fire will control the metal. So you can see the balance of these is become the one circle that they can benefit each other, they can control each other, so they don't overgrow. So that's the balance. And these two relationships are in the healthy stage. For controlling as well, you also can see the phenomenon for nature. For example, the woods can control the earth. If you plant your flower in a pot, after a while, especially after a few years, when you take out the plants, you will see the earth become less, and most of the earth, they transform into, not transform, but disappeared, and then most become the roots. So this is, you see the earth is less from the woods. And if you have a lot of water or from the floods, what you can do, you can put earth to stop the water. And if the fire got too much, you put water in the fire, you can make the fire less. The fire can transform the metal can cut the wood. You can see all the relationship actually from nature. That's why we learn from nature. And then overacting refers to the excessive restriction or restraints of one of the elements. So the woods can control the earth, but if the woods control the earth too much, then we call it overacting. They overact, restrict too much on the elements, so they jump one as well. The grandparents control, overact on the son, on the grandchild. And then insulting refers to the reverse restriction or restraint of one of the other elements. So if the difference between overacting and insulting, just the direction, the wood and the earth, and then if the insulting is the earth, restricts the wood. So let's still use human being as an example, human relationship. This is grandparents, this is the parents, this is the grandchild. So if you see from here is the mother elements, the son elements, the mother elements, the son elements. The grandparents overact, control the grandkids too much. Then we call it overact. But why I said I still prefer to use insulting, is because in our human relationship, if the grandparents control the grandchild, is kind of normal or kind of acceptable. But if the grandchild control the grandparents, then we call insult. So that's why I said we still choose these words to make it easier to understand if the grandkids control the grandparents. So this is insulting. The relationship of, and these two, overacting and insulting, is in a disease stage, so pathological stage, which means whenever the generating and controlling once you achieve the limits and the patient change from into a pathological condition, then we use acting or insulting. We don't use generating and controlling. And why so important to understand this is actually because the relationship can help us to understand diseases, can help us to predict the development of disease, can represent the severity of the disease as well. The clause here is the relationship between mother and child elements, impairment of mother and mother elements due to child elements, or impairment of child element due to mother elements. So what does this mean is the impairment of mother elements due to the child elements. For example, if the wood have problem, and then it may affect the water. The wood problem also may affect the fire. This is in human relationship that I use that example is impairment of the mother elements due to the child elements, which means the child element is the cause. So in human relationship, if the son is very poor, and then the mother need to support the son, and you make the mother poor as well. So this is the deficiency of the son elements, and then the mother element need to support the son elements, and then the mother also become weak, become deficient. And then the third one, the impairment of the child elements due to the mother elements is if the mother is poor, the son need to support the mother, and then the son also become poor. So these are the relationship. And why these are important is because the impairment of these may indicate the severity of disease. For example, if in the generating order, if the mother elements affecting the son elements, the disease may be not that severe. But if the son elements affecting the mother elements, it becomes more serious. So these we can use as principle or as a law that can help you to guide your clinical practice. And how to remember these is, let's say, one video, you can see this person. So this is just a screenshot from one movie, and then you can see that gentleman counting the fingers. Why he count the fingers is actually he counting the 5 elements. You can put these 5 elements on your finger. For example, on your left finger, this joint is wood, this is the fire, and then from your ring finger, the tip is the earth, and here's metal and the water. And your middle finger you keep empty. The reason because we got 2 fires as well. In future, when you study the Zhangxiang theory, you will understand that we have a minister fire. So we got fire got 2. But for 5 elements, we only need 1. From here, wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. So if you put 5 elements in your hand, then you will know the generating order, one after each other. From wood, fire, earth, metal, and water, that's generating. If you skip 1, that's controlling. Wood, earth, wood control the earth control the water, water control the fire, fire control the metal. So you can put these elements in your finger. This will help you to, when you apply the theory, it will help you to make it easier to see where they are. In the meantime, you can put the internal organs on your finger. The liver, the heart, the spleen, the lung, and kidney. So you will see which organ affecting which one. You can count on your finger. So you can use this to facilitate your memory. The values of the 5 element theories. Firstly, explain the physiological function of 5 zang organs and their mutual relationship. So physiological means when we are in a healthy stage, the relationship between 2 organs or among 3 organs, they're going to generate benefits, but also to control, just to prevent it's going to generate too much, keep the balance. It also constructs the 5 zang organ system of human being and linked to universe. This is from the table that I introduced previously. Through the 5 elements, we can link human body with the nature. So that's also the value of the 5 elements theory. It also explains the mutual influence of 5 zang organs in diseases. This is the pathological condition in relationship in generating and controlling of acting and insulting. It can guide the disease diagnosis of disease, determine the affected organ of 5 organs, infer the severity of disease, and prognosis. This is what I mentioned before. If the mother's element affecting the son or the son element affecting the mother, these represents different severities. To determine the affecting organ of the 5 zang organs, you also can see for example, for facial complexion, the color of the facial complexion can indicate the organs as well from the 5 element theory. If you see the facial complexion is slightly green or slightly red, and then this indicate the internal organ as well, may link to liver, may link to spleen, or may link to the heart. You also can guide the treatments of diseases. During the treatments, you can guide the use of herbal medicine according to the zang organs. You can control the transmitting of the affected organs. This is what I said initially. When you see the liver problem, you may support the spleen to stop the transmitting to spleen in advance, so you can prevent. This is also the value of Chinese medicine. We always prevent the diseases. And to guide the use of herbal medicine, you also can guide the use of acupoints, because in future when you study the acupoints and meridians, you will know that the acupoints, they also have the property or characteristics of 5 elements. Some acupoints is in the category of water, some acupoints in the category of fire. So you can use these to control. You can use the meridian to control. You can use the acupoints on the meridian to assist your treatments. So these are all the application of 5 elements in acupuncture. You can determine the treatment principles. We're going to discuss the example later, and you can tonify the mother and purging child. These also refer to one specific treatment. Can instruct acupoint selection, the 5 Su points. The 5 Su points you don't need to remember now, but in the acupoints and meridians you will need to remember. The 5 Su points are one of the most important point categories that you need to memorize, and these points have the characteristics of 5 elements. You also can guide the treatment of emotional diseases. To guide the treatment of emotional diseases, sometimes you can use the certain emotion to treat the other. For example, if someone is very sad, and you may try to make them angry. The reason is because from here, for example, sadness is from metal, and anger is wood. So someone suffers from sadness, then you can support the wood to overcome the metal. The anger for wood. And someone is worried a lot, you also can use anger, the wood. The wood can control the the earth when you jump one. So if they write a lot, they think a lot, and then you can make them angry. So these are actually some stories in the history that you use emotion to treat diseases. And fear. Why fear linked to kidney? Sometimes you can see kidney and bladder in Chinese medicine, these two are paired organs. They also related to fear. For example, when you see, if you have a chance, I'm sure you may have the experience like your pets or the dogs at home that you raise as a pet, and then when they are fearful, they fright, and then they may pee. They may sit in a corner, they pee on the floor. You see, that's why fear and kidney relate in put in one category and related to water. You actually can see, if you think in this perspective, you can see a lot of phenomena that's around you, and you can try to put them in different categories. So these are the values of the theory of elements. And then afterwards, we're just going to explain a few clauses of the therapeutic principles. For example, according to the law of generating, replenishing water to nourish wood. Water to nourish wood. So this means if wood is deficiency, you can nourish water to benefit the wood. So this is the sun elements. You're going to nourish the mother elements to support the sun elements. You can reinforce the earth to strengthen the metal. Reinforce the earth to strengthen the metal. So this is still the metal deficiency, the lung deficiency, and you tonify the spleen. From clinical practice point of view, where you can see this is, for example, asthma or someone suffer from cough. Especially for chronic, the cough is due to lung deficiency. So that's the metal deficiency. Then in your treatments, especially in the chronic stage, you can tonify spleen. You can tonify the digestive function to prevent asthma attack. So this is the application of reinforcing the earth to strengthen the metal, because the lung deficiency, you strengthen the spleen to tonify the lung. Mutual promotion of metal and water. The metal and water, the mutual promotion. So this is also can be seen from asthma, because the kidney have a receiving function, and then when patient have asthma or cough, the similar, we're going to tonify kidney and tonify lung as well. So the mutual promotion of metal and water, and then reinforce fire to strengthen the earth. Reinforce fire to strengthen the earth. You can see all these four principles, they actually based on the mother and sun elements, they're supporting from the mother elements for the sun elements. You also can use the law of controlling. Strengthen the earth to inhibit wood. If woods got too much, and then you're going to tonify the earth to insult on purpose to keep the balance. So this is on the other direction. Tonify the earth to reduce water. Tonify the earth to reduce the water. So if you got too much water, you're still going to tonify the spleen. So for example, someone suffers from edema, that's actual water, the kidney's problem, then you can tonify spleen, can reduce the water. You can nourish the lung to inhibit the liver. The lung is metal, the liver is wood, so still the controlling. Okay, so this is the generating. The metal generate water, water generate wood, and then the metal can control the wood. So if the the liver got too much, you're going to tonify metal to control the wood. And the last one is reducing the south, tonify the wood north. This clause you also need to remember what does this mean. Is the south is fire from 5 elements, the north is water, so still the same. Tonify the water to reduce fire. You got too much fire, now I'm going to tonify water to have water to control the fire. You can see these are actually the function, the application according to the relationship between two elements. So these are the very brief introduction of the 5 elements. And the characteristic of Chinese medicine clinical thinking process, micro-observation, we observe directly, or overall research, philosophical thinking. So we try to expand from the theory. We also emphasize the functional connection. That's why we try to keep the function according to the yin and yang theory, according to the 5 elements theory. We link the function together. And this will be our last theoretical concepts. This purely theory, does not related to or not relevant, not directly related to human health. In the basic theory, the physiological theory will be the theory of axons, the theory of yin and yang, and the theory of 5 elements. And afterwards, we will study the Zhangfu theory or the Zhangxiang theory,